Okay, let's move on to the signing of Danny Welbeck. Robbie, he's come from Man United. I think we've done a good deal in getting Danny Welbeck. What's your thoughts on him?
I'm very positive. I must admit, I was at the ground on Monday when it was all announced, and I was a bit underwhelmed at the time, because I think a lot of the reason for that, also the fans down there were underwhelmed, was because we'd realised that United had signed Falcao, and we were all dreaming of Falcao. But as I was driving home, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what, it's actually an excellent signing. We need a pacey forward, and he's got pace, he's got power, he can get in behind defences, which is something that Giroud doesn't really give us, so it gives us another option. He's young still, so he can develop his game. He's an English player as well, which he'll immediately be able to bed in, he'll know the league. He's got a wealth of Champions League experience, international experience, Premier League experience, and I thought for £16 million, when you really think about it, it's an absolute steal. When you think that Lallana, how much money he costs, and he's older than Welbeck and he hasn't got all the experience, etc. It's really an excellent signing, and if he can, you know, get that, be more clinical in his game, and he can get that into his game, he could really be a massive hit for us, and I'm really excited to see him play his first game. I think it's an excellent signing.
Andrew, you wrote a piece for Bergkamp Wonderland in your own blog about the sensibilities of signing someone like Falcao. Given the fact we didn't sign Falcao and we went for Welbeck, what's your thoughts on him now? Do you think that under Wenger's guidance he can flourish?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have looked at Welbeck's goal-scoring records. I know it's not fantastic. It's 20 in 90 games for Man U. He only scored 1 goal in 27 Premier League games a couple of seasons ago. And you can say, okay, he played on the wing, but even from a team going for the league, you expect, you know, a better return from a winger. Maybe Ferguson didn't get the best out of him. We know he's certainly got the kind of abilities that Wenger looks for in a striker. So I'm not saying obviously he's in the same league as an Henry or an Anelka, but when they both came in, they were both, you know, relatively raw. You know, they had a lot of pace, a lot of power. Their off-the-ball movement was always, you know, superior to a lot of players around them, and I think that's something that Welbeck will bring to the Arsenal team. You know, from a central position, I think Wenger, you know, likes that kind of project to build on. You know, obviously we can see he's had a project in Sonogo, but I think with Welbeck he's a little bit more advanced, and so he's got that experience. As you said, he's got Champions League experience. He's an England international, so he's going to have a sell-on value. I think, you know, at the start of the window, when all the Arsenal fans, you know, were, you know, adamant we need a world-class centre-forward, that's what we need. I think we're bringing in maybe Sanchez on the wing, you know, we kind of reduce that pressure a little bit. So maybe, in hindsight, I think, as Robbie said, most of the fans now probably were slightly unimpressed when we first signed him, because, you know, we still wanted that, you know, with the names we were linked to on the last day, you know, Falcao, Cavani. Perhaps he's not in that kind of bracket, but, you know, in hindsight, I think it is a very good signing to make, a very shrewd piece of business by Wenger, especially so late in the window. When you look at the other players we were linked to, you know, he's head and shoulders above what the others would have given us. So, you know, in hindsight, it's a good signing. Perhaps not the one we would have wanted at the start, but I think if Wenger can get the best out of him, we've got a very good piece of business and a good player. Amanda,
a lot of people said that we needed another striker when Giroud was available from last season.
I was one of them.
Since AFTVP went. We've signed him for apparently 16 million, same price. Liverpool played for Balotelli. Would you rather have had Balotelli?
1,000,000% yes. Yes, definitely.
Even with all his issues, apparently.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
And your reasons for that are?
I'm not as slating Welbeck, because I wasn't one of those that slated him. I was a little bit like Robbie, just a tiny little bit underwhelmed when it was muted. I thought, Welbeck, okay, all right. I don't listen to any of the rumours on social media, because I know we're never going to sign Cavani, any of them, because I just know our club. I would have had
Sanchez.
Yeah, but that wasn't, to me, I wasn't even muted. You know, he was on a beach in Brazil. Everyone was slating Wenger for being on a beach. Meanwhile, he signed Sanchez. So, you know, everyone needs to calm down a little bit and see. Unfortunately, you know, we go back to the defensive side. Yes, he's in my eyes ballsed it up big time. I don't know why. You know, we're all sitting here, but everybody I know, defensive midfielder, defence. I spoke about on our podcast a long time ago about the minute RVP went and he brings in Giroud, it's the Lidl and the Marks and Spencers in my eyes. You can't replace, it's not like for like. It's not Giroud's fault. He's a good player, Robbie. He's a good player. And I'll ask the question, which is, well, sorry, I was going to ask, was do you think we could win the league with Giroud? And as far as I'm concerned, it's no. Before he even got injured, I'd said that. That's how I see it. We want to be winning the league. So Welbeck, if he'd have signed him with the other 4, would have been brilliant. Sanchez, Debuchy, Espina, Chambers, Welbeck, great select, because we were all so desperate and everyone was praying on the last day he was going to go for a defender, a defensive midfielder or a world-class striker. That's why people are underwhelmed. The more people are thinking about it, they're realising, you know what, he's already close with the England boys that we've got. He already looks like an Arsenal player when I've seen him in his kit. I think he'll do really, really well for us. That he's not my concern. I think he's a very good acquisition. The rest of the playing personnel is my concern. We play City Saturday week. This will be the big test with our defence.
Yeah, just, you know what you're saying with Balotelli? Now, one thing we know about Welbeck, he's going to be a good team player.
Yeah.
Could you see Balotelli doing some of the... I mean, I saw Welbeck even when he came on against for England.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he?
He looked good. Plus, as well, his work rate, getting back and defensively, which is something that we lack a lot at Arsenal. Could you see Balotelli doing stuff like that?
I'll tell you how it works, Robbie, in my eyes, okay? I think Balotelli would have worked well with Wenger. I don't think he's a Wenger player, but I think he would have worked well. And I think certain players work well with certain managers. So maybe Balotelli's old previous managers didn't know how to handle him. You're telling me you wouldn't have wanted...
Nobody seems to be...
Okay, but hold on.
Mourinho couldn't get much out of him.
Yeah,
but
okay, hold on. But did you watch him? And I know it's only one game, but I watched the Liverpool Spurs game, and I watched where he tried his hardest. I know it's game one. I agree. Yeah, let's talk in 6 months about that. I understand that. But my point is, there was a vision of him attempting a shot and it was terrible. And in the background was Brendan Rodgers smiling at him, and I think that's how you get the best out of him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll sit here in 6 months and go, Amanda, you really don't know what you're talking about. Balotelli would have been crap at Arsenal. But you can't compare Welbeck and Balotelli. I couldn't. I would have jumped for Balotelli, definitely.
I think what Robbie said, the whole defensive point, what Giroud, what we say, okay, we haven't got a holding midfielder. So sometimes teams will press really high up against the pitch against us because, we lack that pitch. So against Dortmund last year, we saw time and time again we were caught out. So we need a Giroud type centre forward to hold the ball up, to bring other players into the game. And when we saw that switch against Everton at half time, okay, Sanchez doesn't really come deep. He likes to run off the player. So that intensity Everton were hitting us with, but we just couldn't handle that. So when we brought in Giroud, and then what we talked about Welbeck during the World Cup, okay, against Italy, he put in a shift defensively. He was coming back as a false nine. He was marking Pirlo. He was really adding. And I think that's what we're going to need at Arsenal. If we don't have combative midfield, Welbeck might ease that kind of intensity, that pressure. When you haven't got a player like Rosicky who's going to run at the opposition, they're going to find space. And so I think Welbeck could help.
Giroud's not going to win us the Champions League or the league, is he?
No, but what I'm saying is, if you look at Welbeck versus Balotelli, Welbeck might give us that, that the system which we play.
I'd have had both.
We've got the money for
I
them.
just like Balotelli. There's something about him I just like, and I think he would have done. He's not an Arsenal player, is he? He's not really Arsenal-esque. The turmoil he's created. The only one we had was Bentner, and he can't compare.
I just think with Balotelli, when I look on it, he went back to his boyhood club, AC Milan, the club that he supported. Even when he was at Inter Milan, he was wearing an AC Milan top. And they couldn't wait to get rid of him. After,
this is definitely his last chance. I think this is definitely his last chance.
The club will always take him. That talent, they'll always take him. Even if he fails at Liverpool, there'll be someone else.
Because he has got talent.
What do you think of the of our position as buying Welbeck instead of someone like a Hernandez, say?
Hernandez up front in the formation, Arsenal play wouldn't work because he's just a finisher and he wouldn't bring people into the game, which is what Giroud does really well.
Yeah.
Welbeck makes perfect sense. I mean, they made an inquiry for Remy. They made a phone call, I think, on Saturday morning, and that got leaked immediately, which pretty much ended that one. They found out what the situation was with Falcao, and I think going for Falcao with the finances involved would have gone against everything that Arsene Wenger, even Gazidis, and the club going back through many years has stood for.
Sorry, Johnny, can I just ask you a question? Giroud got injured on the Saturday.
He did, yeah.
And we made an inquiry the Saturday after.
Yes, correct.
Not Sunday morning when we realised he's out, and we all knew.
That's back to the classic dithering, Remy will be there, I'm not sure, I'll see what else is around. And of course back to my phrase, you snooze, you lose. Chelsea moved Torres on decisively in the same process of moving Torres on. They sign Remy and make it happen.
I have to say, Remy should have been bought anyway. Remy would have been a fantastic squad player for that price, and he was desperate to come to Arsenal the whole summer. That could have been done.
So we wait a
Thursday of the
whole
transfer
week, even
window.
though we've got rumours by Sunday night, Monday morning that he's out for 2 months, 3, then 6.
Well, they knew by Tuesday night.
You could argue we
was
waited
out.
3 months because we needed another centre forward from the start of the window.
Yeah, but it became more desperate when we realised that the foot was gone and he was gone.
But just think, if Oliver Giroud hadn't have got injured against Everton,
We
we
wouldn't
would have
have
signed
Welbeck.
Welbeck, despite the fact we all knew we were far too short in cover. Similar debate with central defender, you know, messaging coming out the club, oh, it'll be all right, they don't pick up as many injuries as you think. Yes, they do.
But I think
so in a
they're
way we were
waiting.
lucky that the Oliver Giroud injury happened in the last week of August, not in the first week of September, or where would we
But don't
be?
you think they're waiting for Walcott to come back though?
Well, that's
Walcott's back soon, and that
Yeah,
is
but I
important
think
fact.
in that sort of Giroud-esque style, that's what I'm saying. I think they're banking on this. That's why I wouldn't have gone for Welbeck if Giroud wasn't injured.
If you want a squad to win the Champions League or the Premier League, you've got to have as many bodies in it
Absolutely.
as possible. Having £50 million in the bank, that doesn't score goals or keep clean
No, it
sheets.
keeps the business,
You want
though.
as strong a squad as possible. That said, I think they actually have done well to pick Welbeck out on the final day, given the round. I actually advocated, if you go right the way back to, we've been struggling in the centre forward position since Van Persie went. And we should have taken Welbeck as a swap in that deal, because Manchester United were desperate, and we probably could have had him as 5 million lightweight within the deal, where we've been struggling with Bender and Park and a lack of numbers ever since, because there aren't many strikers around, and we missed our negotiating position. Incidentally, you know, ever since then, you know, Jeff Arsenal said to me, oh, it's not as easy as you think. I advocated that Welbeck situation. Oh, he's rubbish, he's not good enough for us, and now he says he's wonderful. But I've seen Welbeck for a long time.
Tim had to do that. He had to do that.
Get the Arsenal Fan TV app, available on Apple and Android now.